You guys, I think I cracked the code on the Ilakan, like the people from the planet First in the Sun, and I think I figured out where they really came from. So let's dive right in because I'm excited to share this theory with everyone. Spoilers for all of the Cosmere, honestly. Isles of the Emberdark. I referenced the Stormlight Archive. Big spoilers for everything in the Stormlight Archive. Mistborn, Warbreaker, Sunlit Man. So it's getting harder and harder to like disaggregate different books in the Cosmere. So spoilers. Let's start. So just to recap, in Isles of the Emberdark, we learn about the ancestors of the Ilakid. Those are like the people that are living on the planet First of the Sun in the Dromonad system. And what happens in the book is that Dusk, the protagonist, uncovers like kind of a deeper truth. He uncovers that his ancestors weren't native to First of the Sun, and they migrated there in the distant past, navigating the Emberdark, navigating Shadesmar, on a journey that kind of seems impossible for everyone else, even today. So in my mind, the big question here is, where did they come from and why did they leave? And I think I have answers to both. So I think that Dusk's ancestors were direct descendants of the original humans living in Yolen, and they left because of fighting between those humans and the dragons. Let's talk about why. Evidence one is their navigational ability. So what Dusk discovers as well is that his ancestors and him can navigate the Emberdark, can navigate Shadesmar without guides. Something that's very rare in the Cosmere. The book says that what gives them that ability is their proximity to the perpendicularity on the planet First of the Sun. But other humans living near perpendicularities in other places don't seem to gain this ability. So I think that implies that that kind of ability to navigate the Emberdark isn't just environmental, it requires like some sort of lineage predisposed to it. And who can actually do this? There's only two groups of people that we know how to do this. It's Hoid and it's the Shodel, both of whom came from Yolen in the distant past. In Mistborn Secret History, we see Hoid sail through Shadesmar himself to reach Scadrial without a guide, just kind of the glowing, with his boat that has like glowing paste on it that enables it to like sail, which suggests that he also has this navigational ability. And in the end of the epilogue of Mistborn Era 2, we see a Shodel guide helping Milan, who's like a Kandra, navigate the Emberdark as well, navigate Shadesmar as well. And Milan explains that it's because of like some sort of specific innate connection that the Shodel have to their gods. So putting it together, I think there's something about Yolen that enable people to navigate Shadesmar. In The Sunlit Man, Hoid mentions that when he was a boy on Yolen, the Yolish philosophers would like look out into the stars and kind of like debate on what might be out there on other planets. And so maybe that curiosity, that longing to explore the stars, led the Yolish humans to like master interplanetary travel in the first place, eventually becoming the great navigators of Dusk's legends. There's one more piece of evidence here, which is that we know that Yolen had these kind of like vast civilizations, but by the time of like the current Cosmere timeline, we're not really seeing those original Yolish humans present anymore. So the question is like, what happened to them? And we know as well that there's a kind of a history of rivalry between the Fane and the Unfane, which could be humans and dragons. So it's easy to imagine that some of those original Yolish humans may have fled that war, seeking a new world. And Dusk's ancestors, or the Ilakan, have old stories about empires and vast cities. So what if those aren't myths at all, but memories of Yolen's lost human civilizations? And then there's Frost, who personally knows Caliban, one of Dusk's people's ancestors, and helps kind of like lay his bones to rest, which to me doesn't sound like the interaction of strangers. It feels personal, like the lingering respect of an ancient friendship or an ancient rivalry. And Frost, of course, has this connection to the ancient Yolish humans because they were all living on Yolen together. He's one of the kind of dragons that originated from Yolen 10,000 years ago. There's also one like nuance, so like that I want to address here, which is, yeah, like almost all humans did probably descend from the Yolish humans, with the exception of the ones on Scadrial, it seems like. But the difference, I think, is that those humans were either reshaped or recreated by the shards after the shattering. I think that makes them like one of the few like surviving lines of like unaltered pre-shardic Yolish humans. So kind of putting it all together, I think there's like 3 points here. One is like the Ilakins' like direct Yolish descent explains their somewhat like innate ability to navigate Shadesmar. The proximity to a perpendicularity triggers that ability, and the ancient legends and cultures that they have are preserving the memories of their Yolish origins. And if this is true, which I'd love to know thoughts in the comments if you think this is true, it means that the people of Yolen, the oldest and like the most advanced humans in the Cosmere, eventually became like what others might call primitive. They went from like the center of creation to like the edges of the map, and that's such a like poetic inversion. It's very Brandon Sanderson. So yeah, that's my theory. Would love to know what people think, and if you like this kind of content, subscribe. And I have a bunch of other videos as well on all things Cosmere.